We are currently live streaming. I want to thank everyone for coming out to this meeting of the General Board of Brooklyn Community Board 9. I want to welcome everyone to our May 2026 meeting for the year, which means this is our next to last meeting for this year before we adjourn for the summer. I just want to take an opportunity very quickly to say thank you to all those members of the board for all the hard work you've done over the year. We've had a lot of successes. There's been a lot of impact. I want to also take the time to say thank you to the district office team, our district manager, Dante Arnwine, our assistant district manager, Mia Hilton, and our community associate, Allison Henry, as well. They're the machine back there that makes things run for us, so I want to say thank you very much. Also wanted to take an opportunity to recognize for many members here this evening, this is their first board meeting. So I want to say welcome. And if anything, I just want to recognize you very quickly. If you could just rise, please, and just give us your name very quickly.
Hi everyone, my name is Autumn Fona. I live right across the street in New York Ave, and I feel like I crossed a river to get here because it's raining so hard. I'm happy to be with you all today.
Welcome.
Everybody, I'm David Becker Turk. I live on Bedford and Hawthorne. I've been to a few board meetings, glad to be part of it now. Glad we all made it here relatively dry.
Welcome.
Also, when you get the mic, talk in it like this.
Hello, I'm Eddie Velez. I'm down by the Parkway. I'm from Sunset Park. I've been in the neighborhood for a couple of years now, so glad to be here.
Welcome, brother.
Hi, I'm Adine Fader. I live on Montgomery and Nostrand. Happy to be here.
Welcome.
Miriam Siegel. I live on Eastern Parkway between Albany and Troy. I've lived here since 97, sorry.
Welcome. Thank you to all for taking this on. All board members are on the board because they are active in the community and they represent different aspects. And you're going to see that there's a diversity of thought. It's not all cookie cutter. We're coming from different parts of the district, different backgrounds, but that's part of the reason why we exist, is to be able to have that representation where we can talk about what's happening in different areas. One of the charges that I have for all board members is that we serve as ambassadors. Where not only are we having conversations here, but we're taking the conversations to our neighbors, to all our different networks, to places of worship, so that way we can spread the word. We have a small team, a mighty team, but it's a small team of 3 in the district office, and we are not everywhere where we want to be, but with your help, we can get in more places to make sure we are sharing the word. One of the things that's going to happen when you come to the board meetings is that this meeting is dedicated to accomplishing the business, which starts in committees and conversations in committees and other sources, and voting and making recommendations that are in the best interest of the district. And this is going to be a perfect segue as we go into the rules of order of the meeting. Our meetings are governed by rules of order that have been adopted by the board in 2016, I believe. The purpose of the rules of order for the meeting are just to make sure that we are able to conduct business in an orderly fashion. The rules of order are on the packet which you should have received. They're also available on the CB9 website. To summarize it succinctly, we just want to make sure that as a board, we operate with respect as the prime value. We want to make sure that this is a place people can come, where people can say what they need to say, where they can share their ideas, they can share their frustration. But we do it in a respectful manner, and we also ask that everybody's respectful of those opinions, even when we don't agree. And you will find that we often don't agree. But the idea is we want to be able to have the conversations, and through those conversations, we're able to get to a better place, again, all in the best interest of the district where we all live, or we have our interests. So I thank you in advance. Today, we're probably going to go through things a little bit more slowly just because I want for the new members to kind of understand how we're going forward. But it'll pick up, and we're going to have trainings that we'll be doing as well as Borough Hall will be having some trainings that they'll send as well. Okay, all right. So now we are going to go to item 2, presentations. I don't see Andrew now. Let's go, Suki, actually. Let's go to item B. We have a ULURP Land Use Committee District Zoning Applications Framework presentation. If you would please,
How much time do I have?
if we can keep it to about 5 minutes.
Okay. So I'm going to give those of you who haven't had a chance yet, I'm going to give those of you who haven't had a chance to read it yet, a minute of my time to look over the handout that I gave you that says, what is CEQR, SEQR? And if you flip it, it says, what is the fair share criteria? So I'll give you guys, give them a minute. And I'm sorry if I didn't have quite enough copies for everyone. Maybe if there's someone who's read theirs already, they can pass it to somebody who doesn't have one. Oh, okay, there's extra copies over there. Is there anyone who needs one? In the meantime, I'll just tell you guys that I'm the chair of the ULURP and Land Use Committee. ULURP stands for Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, and it's a set of city rules designed to ensure that communities, and specifically community boards, have input into local land use decisions within our district. And so we deal with land use decisions and with actions of the City Planning Commission. And you can see that the City Planning Commission has made rules around the two acts that you see on the handout that I gave you. Although those rules are not necessarily ULURP rules. Up in a minute. So the first one I'm going to talk about, which is the fair share criteria, was something that was passed by the voters of New York City in 1990. So it's a charter rule, and the City Planning Commission came up with specific rules around it. So I won't repeat what's on the sheet. I think the important thing for our purposes is what is not covered by fair share, and that is state facilities. You can see from the sheet that the fair share rules cover city facilities, including some of the hot topics of the day, like the Ramada Inn shelter. But they don't cover facilities that are similar facilities that might be funded by the state or the federal government. So that's a major loophole that we wanted to address in our zoning framework, which is something that we passed last year and we're continuously updating. So our fair share resolution says that in Community District 9, the fair share analysis must include all state and federal facilities and acquisitions of land or capital construction. Our residents' quality of life and need for services are not determined by which level of government is funding the project. Because if you live next to a very big state-funded facility, like Vital Brooklyn, which is over on the eastern end of the district, on former state-owned hospital land, it matters to you. You know, if there's 1,000 new units coming, it doesn't really matter to you whether it was funded by the city or by the state. And we also ask that our annual district needs statement should contain a beds to population ratio analysis for residential facilities. So the beds to population ratio is something that the fair share criteria look at, specifically for residential facilities like nursing homes, detention centers, supportive housing, homeless shelters, and other types of transitional housing. So the city is actually supposed to come up with these numbers, but they typically haven't done it. In fact, the controller's report a couple of years ago called out the city for not producing accurate numbers on a regular basis. so we think that's something that our district should do for our own needs. So the second thing I'm adding to our zoning framework, or the committee voted to add to our zoning framework, is about environmental review. So again, the important thing is, what do these environmental review procedures not cover? And environmental reviews are done on a per project basis. And how detailed the review is based on how large the projects are. Typically, the cutoff is around 200 units. It could be of residential housing, or if it's a non-residential activity, there are various measures of intensity that are used. But for residential projects, for example, the homeless shelter, it's about 200 units. And so whether it's a new development, like just ordinary housing or a homeless shelter, smaller projects don't undergo environmental review. Projects that don't require government actions don't require review. So many of you have seen new development near you. Most of these projects don't require environmental review because they didn't need any special changes to the law from the government to be able to build what they're building. But that doesn't mean that activity isn't happening, that isn't creating impacts on our environment, and probably unexpected impacts that were never accounted for. So we think that environmental review should be cumulative and should be conducted whenever 300 units more than what was previously accounted for since the last environmental review.
Thank you very much. All right. So for all the members, so there was a framework that was actually developed by the Land Use Committee and adopted by the board. So that is available on the Community Board 9 website. So what you have heard is a presentation in terms of augmenting that, where we address issues including the bed to population ratio, also including environmental reviews and some other language. You will find that land use can be a very technical conversation. So we absolutely don't expect anybody to get it in the first shot, in the first pulse. So what we are doing is the land use chair was able to present this evening, just so we make a brief synopsis of what's happening. You are invited to come back to the Land Use Committee next month as well. So the actual recommendation is in your packages, and it is available. It should be available on the website as well. If you have questions, you are absolutely encouraged to make sure you go to the Land Use Committee so you can ask questions to get additional information, or if you feel there are changes you would like to see if the committee would be willing to entertain as well, that is an opportunity. So we're going to be actually having a vote on the framework that will be happening next month. I'm sorry, clarification?
The Borough President's Office usually holds land use trainings for all of the community board members in Brooklyn, and they'll announce them to you.
Thank you for that. All right, I do see a question from residents. Allison, could you just...
Hi, I have a question. So from a CB9 land use perspective, right? How do you feel that the hotel to shelter conversion changed the character of a neighborhood?
So one of the purposes of the fair share analysis is to determine if it would change the character of the neighborhood. And so they're going to look at the community's existing goals and frameworks. So if the community has an existing framework or goal for what uses or character they want to see in that location, that could be very important to determine if it's being changed by that use.
So the question was, all of these multiple shelters that they're concentrating in certain areas, was that under a deep review under CQR?
Yeah, so I checked on the website, and the shelter the domestic violence, the women's and children's shelter, which shall not be named because we're not supposed to, did have an environmental review. There's another facility to the south that's a drop-in homeless shelter that also had an environmental review, and both of them found no impact. Primarily, I would assume because it's fewer than 200 beds, and our community doesn't have an established sort of, well, okay, we have our zoning framework, but we don't have what's known as an officially authorized plan. Should be something that's passed by the city and the city council that describes what type of development and activity we want to see in these areas. Yeah.
And some of them might be in recovery, but they might turn having drugs or
Yeah.
gangs or prostitution because having this shelter nearby, if the court system first, there was an increase prostitution.
Well, hold on. Actually, I did want to just very briefly say, I think there are a couple of issues that are wrapped around there. So I think the shelter itself, the way they brought it in, what kinds of reviews were done, the idea of the proliferation of hotels, what that means, 'cause I think we've seen a number of them popping up in different places in the district. That's typically because of the way the zoning happens. Because if you're in a commercial zone, that is, in some locations, an acceptable use. But we're seeing different things happen that are of concern to the community board as well. We're actually going to be discussing that a little bit more when I get to my chairman's report as well. But this is mainly to kind of say that this is something we want to address as part of the framework. But there are a lot of other questions and conversations you have to have around that.
But what gets covered in an environmental review and how they assess those impacts is very specific. And so, you know, again, if you want to learn more, I urge you to come to the committee meetings. Perhaps the borough president's office will do a workshop on environmental review. But it's very kind of cut and dried. Doesn't necessarily cover everything that residents care about.
All right, we'll see Ms. Okay, how many questions do we have? Ms. Boyd, I do see you, and I also see you as well. All right, so Ms. Boyd, and then we have the member.
The fair share analysis is not based upon whether or not you have a particular type of zoning in your community or have a framework. The fair share analysis is basically exactly what the title means, fair share. So what they do is they look at, or supposed to look at, your community versus all the other communities in the city and decide whether or not you've done your fair share. How many shelters are in your community versus how many shelters on other communities? So we know that fair share has nothing to do with zoning because the law allows, based upon a passage of the law in 2023 by HOCO, that you can take a hotel, no matter where it's situated, and turn it into a shelter. That's the law now. There's nothing you can do about that. However, the Fair Act says, but if you do that, you must look at how many current shelters are in that community and what type of effect that shelter will have on the existing population. That's what they were supposed to do, but they did not do it because they claimed that when putting the shelter here, it was underneath an emergency order that was signed by the current mayor, basically saying that they don't have to follow any of the normal rules and regulations because it's classified as an emergency, and because it's an emergency, all the rules and laws go out the window and they can do whatever they want. That's fair share. Fair share is supposed to be announced. They came to us, if you were there last week, they said that they would do an analysis after they've already made the decision to put the shelter here. And they said, even if they make a determination that we've done our fair share, the shelter is still coming. So the question is, what do we do as a community board to say to them that it's unlawful for you to say you're going to do a fair share analysis when you've already made a decision to bring it in. So what's the use of doing a fair share analysis? Because you've already stated that no matter what you do, you're getting the shelter. But it's not based upon zoning. It's not based upon a framework. It's based upon the number of shelters that you have in your community versus all the other communities. Thank you.
Okay.
Forgive me, I'm a new board member. I've been to a couple meetings.
No,
My
absolutely.
question is, do we have this fair share analysis for the existing shelters that are already in our community? Like, do we have a map in Community Board 9 of where all our shelters are? And I realize that, obviously we can't, for safety reasons, we can't put domestic violence shelters on that map. But to say, okay, in Community Board 9, we have X number of domestic violence shelters. Here's a map of where all the other shelters are. And, shelter is a very broad term. On my block, there's OMH transitional housing, which some people would call a shelter, some people wouldn't. So do we have, at least in Community Board 9, a map of that?
No. And that's one of the reasons why we're asking the district needs statement to include the beds to population ratio, and which means, putting out where the shelters are and how many beds they have. And that includes supportive housing.
And my side question, is this the type of thing that the city is required to give us that information under like a Freedom of Information Act request? Or can they be opaque about it?
Yes. Yes, they would be required to do it.
And I think that's part of the issue. Some of it, they are being very opaque where they shouldn't be. So that is some of the information that we are missing, that we are requesting, that we're requesting that the city does. In terms of the fair share analysis for the site, for the district, and citywide as well, because part of the concern is there's a lot of neighborhoods that are not pulling their fair share. So that's the kind of analysis that needs to happen and that we're requesting as a board.
I just want to add also, it's a fair point that Ms. Boyd made, that there are projects that ULURP or zoning and environmental review and fair share can overlap, but not all projects require all of them. So you might have a project that doesn't trigger any ULURP or zoning review, but it still requires environmental review. You could have a project that requires fair share that doesn't trigger, but you can have projects that trigger all three. And all three are essentially informational and advisory. They're intended to help elected officials and the community to make decisions. What can you do if you feel like it's not being applied correctly or fairly? Also, there's something called an Article 78 lawsuit, which is when an agency acts in an arbitrary or unreasonable manner.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So again, in terms of process, so this is a presentation that's been given. This is a framework that is going to be considered by the board in the June meeting. I recommend everyone again to go to the Land Use Committee meeting scheduled for June. If you have additional questions or you have additional feedback you'd like to provide for that. And then it was scheduled to vote on the framework in June. Thank you very much. All right.
Is it possible to include in this framework a system that would include, like, even under emergency circumstances, these rules would still apply?
Okay, everyone, please make sure we're recognizing.
It would require a change to the city's rules, which would require the city council and or the mayor to take action.
All right. I apologize. Sorry? Okay, well, that's part of the issue where we don't know. We don't know. Or they're very opaque about that. That's part of the reason why we're making the request. They need to have that analysis, not just what we have, but what everybody else has as well, so that way we understand what fair means in terms of the context of the city. All right, all right, Ms. Benjamin, we'll see you very quick, and it's going to be the last one. We have to move on.
thing. I like to be a little bit more proactive than reactive, right? I would like to know why we even approved a hotel there in the first place, right? That's number one. And I don't know if I'm from all of Brooklyn, right? And I have seen this happen in many communities, from East Flatbush to Carroll Gardens, where they put a hotel and they do exactly what this young lady stated, that they turn it into a shelter due to emergency. And it could be any emergency. There's a flood, it's raining hard. The shelter, it could be any emergency. So in the act of being proactive, right, and not reactive, I think we need to think about why we approved a hotel on Empire Boulevard in the first place. Like, how did that happen? How did that come about, right? And then maybe, because every neighborhood, to be quite frank, that those Holiday Inns or whatever hotels pop up, they become shelters, right? Even in Brooklyn Heights, right? So it's I guess it's the powers that be taking advantage, right? So I'm trying to say, how can we be proactive, right? Because this is clearly going to happen, right? So how can we ensure that this does not happen again?
Okay, very short answers, and I will defer that the conversation should go to land use. But very quickly, the board did not allow anything. The hotel was built as a matter of, as of right, because it is zoned as such. It's a commercial district. But part of what you are seeing, and I think this is what we're seeing in a number of places, the city all of a sudden is a client, where if you don't make your rack rate or you don't have enough reservations, guess what? The city will always pay you top dollar for it, which is a larger conversation in terms of what the zoning is allowing and what changes should be made to that. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear. I definitely, not to move that, but it's definitely a conversation that we should have as a board in terms of how do we address the loopholes in that. Okay? All right, thank you very much. All right, and again, these are great conversations that I would absolutely encourage. Unfortunately, we don't always have time to do that because we are time limited here. We have to, at a certain time, we got to complete the agenda and get out. But this is why it's important to make sure you're going to the committee meetings. And all members and members of the public are invited, even if it's not your assigned committee. You can go and participate and hopefully get some of the answers you're looking for. And we can also work with the district office in terms of if there's primers or certain information we can give you in advance to kind of catch you up in terms of how zoning works and how things happen, what is as of right, and what the different zones are. Okay? All right. At this time, we do need to move on in the agenda. We're going to go back to item A for the Transportation Committee. At this time, we have the Vice Chair for the Transportation Committee, Andrew Magnus. All right, this evening they're going to be discussing a DOT street improvement proposal for Rochester Avenue, correct?
Hello, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Louder? Louder. Okay. So I'm Andrew Magnus, filling in Vice Chair. Ethan, who's our chair, could not be here tonight, but we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to comment and vote on a resolution in June. But in advance of that, this is a proposal for several standard strategies and conversations that we'd like to start, ask the MTA to do for their proposed Brooklyn bus network redesign. If you're not familiar, the bus network redesign was initially released in 2023 by the MTA, and then it was sort of paused in 2025. And we've been hearing through the grapevine that it could be unpaused and another draft be dropped as soon as this summer, when the board is not in session. We want to get ahead of this, so we've been productive. We put this on the agenda every month since December of 2025, and it'll be on the agenda again in June if you'd like to come and talk to us. Some of our summary motions include, number one, optimizing the bus network to reduce overall passenger journey time, taking into account transfer times and waiting times instead of only bus speeds. Currently, the primary goal of the Brooklyn bus network redesign is to make buses faster, which is great. But the big reason the MTA, or the big method that the MTA is using to do this, is to cut bus stops. So the proposed plan would reduce about 1/3 of bus stops in our district. Obviously, there are many other ways.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Listen, we need to stay in order. Okay, listen, we are in order.
We want to get the MTA in
the presentation to finish. We will allow questions afterwards. Thank you.
All right, number two, we want to improve passenger environments. There's a lot of places in our district where there are no bus shelters. And the bus shelters that do exist, a lot of them are gross. Number 3, we want to enable an east-west travel route in the district. Currently, there is one. There's a proposal for another. The new proposed B10, but we have questions about its service and schedule. Number 4, we want to enhance the frequency of existing routes on nights and weekends. I'm sure everyone's been on a bus or been waiting for a bus on a night or a weekend when it comes every 45 minutes. Number 5, we want to optimize bus to subway connectivity. In the proposed draft plan, there's a lot of places where the bus stop just sort of ends in the middle of the street grid and misses an opportunity to connect to an adjacent subway stop. You know, we have multiple transportation systems in the city. We want to make sure that they are used effectively together. Number 6, we want bus stops to be spaced absolutely no more than 1,200 feet from each other with an average stop distance of less than 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet is about 4 or 5 street-to-street blocks. Currently, the average in Brooklyn is about 870, and the proposal is, again, to reduce the number of bus stops, thereby increasing the distance. And last but not least, we want the MTA, New York City DOT, and other agencies to come and consult with us if and when they remove these bus stops. You know, again, there's more than 100 bus stops in our district. Bus stops are quite large, and we want to be a voice in the room when they discuss how that is reallocated to parking or city bike docks or truck loading or anything else. We don't want this to be an afterthought. We want to get it on the ground floor with them and have that conversation. All of these are sort of overall general themes. Our committee has been busy passing specific bus route resolutions. For example, the B49, keeping the B49 on Bedford, which we passed in 2023. This is an addendum to all of this. It's an addition. All right, how am I doing on time? 1 minute. Questions?
Yeah, that should be the model. Thank you very much. Are you done? Are you done? Okay. All right. Well, hold on. Okay, 1 second. So again, and I want to just go back and I say I misspoke. I said it was regarding Rochester. This is the bus network redesign, the principles, correct? This was about the principles for the bus network redesign, correct?
This is our overall guiding principles to get the MTA to talk to us.
So I misspoke earlier. So this is what's also going to be presented in June.
Yes.
All right, at this time, are there questions? Ms. Westerdahl, I see you. I see you as well. Any other questions? Okay, we're going to close the floor on those two. So Ms. Westerdahl, and then we'll take those two, okay? And just as a reminder, well, go ahead.
Just a quick question about the what I see here. It like jumps, whereas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it goes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the resolve. It's a little confusing. But it says bus network on the first page.
So first page, bus network. The flip side of that has information about the community fair and administrative stuff. I think that's for the district.
Okay, and then the next page says improved lighting.
Right.
So
It's not in the
this
package, correct? It's not in the package, correct?
All right, I support it. I just want to read the.
Stapled right. It's on the website, or we can also send it to you.
Yeah. Okay, just checking. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, hold on. Please use the microphone.
Okay. You said you're the transportation. How come when I speak I can hear and you guys speak I don't hear anything? You said you're the transportation committee person.
I'm the vice chair. So I'm the vice chair.
Okay, so does that have to do with the trains also?
I mean, I don't drive the trains, but yes, that is the committee.
Okay, so when are the elevators going to be working in the trains? Because in many trains, the elevators are not working. And many of the older people have an issue using Omni. So can you tell them to keep the change machines for the old people? Because I don't want old people getting arrested because they don't have a transfer or something. Because, you know, everything is not always, you know, shit happens. So, I mean, like, can they keep that? Because sometimes Omni doesn't work. And you have the transportation, they pay your fare. You know, what happened if you can't? Because your card is not working.
Those are both great points. I actually think that you're going to talk about an Omni rollout in your report.
Actually, the district manager will address some of that as well.
But come to the committee. We would love to have more more well-rounded voices about this. These are all things that we talk about regularly. I mean, like, I'm gonna hold it down.
Well, if I could jump in for a second. So hold on. Right. So here's the thing. There's a lot of conversations that happen in the committees, but then there are a lot of conversations that also, or things that are being handled by the district office as well. So the district manager, when you get to your report, would you be able to address that in terms of the yes, the elevators?
That takes time, so when they're finished, we'll have elevators. It takes time. Okay, they went out in December. I reported that here. It takes time. So you all know the MTA. If they tell me 6 months, you should expect a year. I can go back and ask. They're going to say another year. All right. All we can do is thank goodness we have accessibility for these stations, because other stations aren't getting it. So the reality is we have to be patient, right? The money's in the budget. They're going in, and then we will have accessibility at all those stations moving forward. So just a little bit of patience.
Okay.
Some of these elevators break down time to time, and when you have to repair them, if they're not repaired well, then they just break, and so they have to be replaced. So that's literally what's happening. Okay. Okay?
Unfortunately, what happens when you bid out to the lowest bidder? All right, at this time. Okay, so listen, so we went a little bit over on the session. It's okay though, just in terms of run of show. We just need to make sure we're gonna be tighter on time. Next, we're gonna do public commentary session, scheduled for no more than 30 minutes. All speakers, you have 3 minutes. Please make sure you stay within your time. The second vice chair is going to let you know when you have 30 seconds. When you hear that, please start to conclude your remarks so that way we can make sure we get through the session in time. After that, we're going to have, and just as a quick housekeeping item, if you are an elected official or representative, if you have not already signed in with the district office, with Mia, please make sure you do so. So that way we can roll right into the acknowledgement section of the agenda. All right, at this time, okay, at this time we're going to call to the floor Zlati Mochkin.
Okay, hi everybody, good night, good evening. Do you hear me? Yeah, louder, louder? I can speak louder without the mic. I am a member of the Public Safety Committee. I've been on the committee for the 4 years that I've been a board member. The committee is very frustrated that we feel that we put a lot of work and a lot of effort into every meeting. The work and the effort that we put in is when someone comes for an application for a new liquor license, we have a framework and we have an application that they have to fill out, and then we review it and we ask them questions over and over and over again. Sometimes it could be a half an hour for one applicant to discuss with them what they're doing and what their goals are. And our primary reason for this is public safety. Secondary is economic improvement in the neighborhood. Of course, we want businesses, but the first thing is public safety. On a good note, there was a woman who wanted to open a bar on Nostrand and Crown, and she wanted to be open every day from 7 a.m. serving breakfast till 4 a.m. every single day, 7 days a week. And we pushed back on her, and guess what? Still empty 2 years later. Okay, that's a success story for our committee. But in the last few months, we've not had that much success, and what's going on is that we are being pushed and forced by the rest of the members of the board that when we suggest a 12 o'clock closing time, it comes here to vote, and that gets turned down, and they get a 1 a.m. or a 2 a.m. closing time. And we really feel that our time and our effort that we put into this committee is, I hate the word disrespected, but maybe it's just ignored. And we're the ones that put in the time and the effort, and the least should be is that the rest of the board should vote with us. They should say they put in the time. I didn't go to the meeting, but they did. And so I want to vote together with them. I generally see when the ULIP committee puts up something that if they say no, everybody votes no with them except for a few people. And if they say yes, everybody votes with them except for a few people. So last month we had a bar come up, and in meeting we told them 12, and they sort of wiggled to 12:30. I was not at the meeting, I have to say that right outright. And then when they came here, their lawyer stood up and said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I want it 2 a.m. That's all. And the board voted to go together with 2 a.m. instead of as the committee had recommended. So there's two things here. The first is that we would like to beg of you that you appreciate the time and effort we put in and vote with us. And the second thing is that there is a framework already for an application. And
Time.
What? Time? What? Okay, just that we want to move that the committee board 9 vote to authorize and empower the committee to redevelop a new framework. Two of the committee members have already put together a framework, and I'd like to put a motion that we should get that framework with more clearer questions and more clearer opening times and closing times. That's going to be clearer for everybody to understand when they get the application at the meeting. So I'm putting the motion.
Okay. Order of the day. Order of the day. We are currently this is public commentary, but we received the commentary. All right. At this time, and please, I would ask for members. I understand we might be excited or opposed to opinions, but if we can please let them go, so we can make sure we're able to move the meeting in an effective manner. All right. At this time, Ms. Tony Williams.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Tony Williams, 853 Empire Tenant Association. I have actually 3 issues, and I'll make them really, really quick. First issue is, a week ago, it was about 5 million people here protesting at this town hall. Is CB9 going to write a letter saying that you denounced the shelter also with us? As the first thing. Second thing, in my neighborhood, right across the street is 840 Lefferts. It's a birthing center. We lost a functioning neighborhood clinic for that birthing center, and the birthing center has no signage outside that says birthing center. So all the pregnant women in the area don't know to go here. I want to know how something that says it takes all insurances, $32,000 to give birth, you don't have a sign up? So now the neighborhood is confused, like you're operating, and they're seeing different ethnicities and different religions go in there, but why are we not going in there? I might want to be pregnant too. Like, what's going on? Why all the clandestine, no sign? Very, very confusing. And the last thing I'm going to say is on the 18th, DCWP did a hearing. I was on the phone at this hearing, and no one picked up. So how do the neighborhood get a chance to complain about the storages if no one picks up the phone? So then when I finally got someone, she said she was going to call me back. She didn't call me back, so now I'm going to nag her and harass her. You need to have a town hall and let people come and voice how they feel about the storages, because the storages is worse than the loan sharking. It really is, and people need to be able to come and voice how they feel. The time they had that public hearing, many people are at work, so we have to consider that. But if you have something, maybe 5, 6, 7 o'clock, where people can come and voice their opinion, is necessary, because we want to have trust here, and some things is making us lose trust. I said, my time? Okay.
Very quickly, as far as the shelter goes, we will be considering a resolution in the business section. As far as the signage, I'm not sure. I'll ask the district office if we can look into if we can see if there's any issues with that. I'm not sure if they're not putting up the sign or there's something else. Right, but what I'm saying is I don't know if it's because it's their choice. But the district office will look into that and they can get an answer for that. Lastly, when it comes to the storage units, same issue with the hotels. They're zoned for that, which means there's a larger conversation that has to be happening around zoning and what is permitted under these different uses. Well, businesses can rob, but the whole point about the zone, if they can even do the storage, that's another conversation because you see a lot of properties, storage units end up being as placeholders until they do something else with it. Right. Understood. Right. No, understood. Understood. And DWCP would continue. Thank you. All right. Well, we're trying to address this. All right. At this time, Elizabeth Hickey.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk really loudly. This is my first meeting. I'm on the board of PLG Arts. I've lived in the neighborhood for almost 6 years. That has nothing to do with the issue I'm bringing today. I'm a dog owner in the neighborhood, and there are no dog parks aside from Prospect Park. There are none like on this side of No Strip. So often we will go to Wingate Park next to the school. And I was there recently, and I was harassed by a Parks Department ranger, I don't even know what you call them, and he offered to give me a $150 ticket for playing fetch with my dog at 3 p.m. when the field is deserted. And I don't think they should be able to do that, honestly. Can't hear you. But no, well, my point is, it's like, I'm not saying that dogs should just be allowed to roam free. I just think the Parks Department should focus on picking up dog shit in the street that is everywhere in our neighborhood, and it was not that way. Maybe, I don't know, a year ago. People are moving into the neighborhood. There are more dogs, and I think dog owners need to be held accountable for that. At the same time, dogs need places to play and to roam, and I should not be treated like a criminal for bringing my dog somewhere outside of park hours because I'm a working person. And so I think that's an issue that needs to be raised with the Parks Department. And it's like, these people, you know, I talked to the ranger or whatever. I said, "Do you even live in this neighborhood?" He said, "I live in Bed-Stuy." And I said, "So what would you know about how many dog parks there are in the neighborhood?" Frankly, I don't know. I know it seems like a frivolous issue when we're talking about shelters and all these things, but I'm just saying it's like we all need to coexist in this neighborhood. And even if you don't like dogs, the laws need to be changed so that, you know, they shouldn't be based on people's fears. They need to be based on the fact that there are a lot of dogs and they need a place to go. And people need to be responsible in cleaning up after them. That's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right. At this time, we're going to call up Aaron Gluck. Aaron Gluck. Okay. At this time, we're back in order. At this time, we are in order. I would remind everyone we are in order. We have a speaker. Sir, you have the floor.
Hi, my name is Aaron Gluck. I want to bring up, I think, first of all, the point of Vital Brooklyn. I think we can literally have...
Excuse me one second. Okay, listen, we need to come to order. If you need to have a conversation, please do that outside. We need to make sure we are in order and the speakers are respected. One voice, whoever is recognized has the floor at that time. We can at least do that and have the respect of the speaker and hear what they have to say. Thank you very much. Mr. Gluck, go ahead. Continue.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, so I think at Vital Brooklyn we should start kind of, I would encourage people to throw the book at them, so-called. I've noticed, I looked up the violations that is being done in during the construction in Brooklyn, and they officially already got a stop work order for a major failing to file for demolition on some foundation work. So I think if they are not leaving us much options, we should use their laws to prevent them at least or delay the process. So I think people should look into it. If anyone needs more information about it, you can come up to me later. I'll help you out on that. Another thing, in regards to, I noticed about the zoning, and Suki was talking about how we're trying to get the community. I feel like I'm not here a lot, right? But I'm recently more attendant. And I've noticed that there's many things that maybe we can have our own community prepare, such as you say we don't have any maps of how many homeless shelters. People are very visual. once you have a visual of how many homeless shelter we have in this area, maybe tell us people. I'm sure people will have some time. Now we have AI, ChatGPT, and all this. It's very easy to make these things. Let's make visuals for the community leaders, for people in office, and show them what's going on. Maybe they have no clue. They live in their mansions, I don't know where. They have no idea what's going on. Hey, let's have the community help out. Not everything has to go to bureaucratic contracts and everything. Let's have some kind of, even an app that everybody can plug in, or some kind of website. People can be as a community, really. It's so easy to make these things and really change these rules. And so same thing with the zoning. We can work on the zoning. Let's be proactive for all these zoning changes that we need to make. And every community, every block should be able to vote for whatever they want, and not come to these community board meetings and complain and scream and all that. That's after the fact crime. We can create literally everything what everybody wants in this community can be executed if we do proactive. So I think that's something the community board should really consider doing. And if we need any help, I'm willing to give out from my own time and help arrange that.
Time.
Okay? Thank you. See you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll see Venus Scantleberry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Venus Scantleberry. I serve as the Brooklyn Outreach Coordinator for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. I usually come to these meetings once or twice a year because I have 18 community boards to go to by June, so I'm making my rounds. For those who may not know, we are an independent oversight body of NYPD. Our mission is to investigate allegations of force. Hello? Okay. Investigate allegations of force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, offensive language, as well as racial profiling and sexual misconduct alleged from members of the NYPD. You can file a complaint in many ways. You can call our hotline at 1-800-341-2272, or you can file a complaint at nyc.gov/ccrbcomplaint. I brought some brochures for the circular table. Lastly, we do informational sessions about NYPD police street encounters, so equipping civilians with basic know your rights information, and also going over our jurisdiction, because sometimes we may think that something is all right or something's not all right, and it happens to be. So we go over those things. For that, you can always reach out to our office. And lastly, I hope everyone is staying cool in this scorching weather. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we'll hear from Alicia Boyd.
I thought she was going to say I was doing a good job. Okay, so just to get to that young lady's statement, it is the state that makes the decisions about shelter conversions. Like I said, it was HOCO who changed the law in 2023. There are two representatives from your state that can change that law. That's your state senators and your assembly people. So the only way to be proactive is to get them to do their job. And we had a town hall meeting last week, and we filled this place up to over 400 people, and they didn't even bother showing up. So if they're not showing up for 400 people, you bet your bottom dollar they're probably not going to show up to be proactive, because this is all about money. So just for that point. The other point is I'm hearing about zoning. Let's change the zoning. Well, let me tell you something, people. They've been after this community for the last dozen of years to try to change the zoning. And what people don't understand, is that once you open that door, they will take your community and do whatever they want to do with it. No matter what you put down, no matter what you say, no matter what you planned, they will come and upzone. You think that they want low-rise housing with no housing on Empire? They want to go sky high. Do you not think that they want towers on Flatbush Avenue so all of those buildings that are empty and abandoned can now be taken and you can now see the park view? People, there's only one piece of power that this community board has, and that is you either say yes to a rezoning or you say no. Because once you say yes, you are completely powerless. And you don't need to take my word for it. Google it. Google Gowanus rezoning. That's all. Google downtown rezoning. You see the towers, you know where they're at. Google what CBA rezoning that they just did. Google it. You never get what you want, and you open yourself up for massive upzoning. The city has stated it over and over again. If you want a rezoning, we're coming in and we're putting towers. That's our framework. Have you heard anybody on the news talking about downzoning? No. Did you anybody talking about reducing the ability to build? No. All the conversations are about increased housing. We want to create affordable housing. We want to create affordable housing. But that was never affordable to us. So if you keep engaging in this conversation about zoning, there are a few people in here who will benefit immensely because they are supported by the real estate industry. But the rest of us will be screwed. Because shelters has nothing to do with zoning. You could put a shelter in any zone that you want to.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford.
So proactive, get
Thank
your
you.
elected officials together.
Thank you.
And I want to also say I completely support this woman's position. This community board needs to start thinking about supporting your committees because they're the ones who do all the hard work.
Thank you
And I was
very much.
very disappointed last month when they sat there and disregarded the committee and voted against the committee because
Ms. Boyd.
somebody wants to make some money off of us. We need
Ms.
to be
Boyd.
protected.
Ms.
And I'm
Boyd,
so
you're
glad that you
over
guys
time.
are doing a good job and making sure that our
Ms. Boyd.
community is protected.
Ms.
Thank
Boyd,
you
you're
so
over
much.
time. Thank you. All right, last speaker we have is Cheryl Bernard.
Sorry, didn't know I was already up here. Ooh, this air feel good. Good night, everybody. I know y'all tired of seeing me, but we had a very good rally yesterday at City Hall on the corner, and we were very proud of the few that did come, but we got our point across. So I'm actually going to read what I said, and what I like to say real quick is, we are not against shelters or the unhoused. Oh. We are not against shelters or the unhoused, but we are against the unfair distribution of shelters throughout our neighborhood. We are against developers that conduct bait and switch dealings. We are against our elected officials that pick and choose what area they want to support and what area they want to oppose. Governor Kathy Hochul supports New York State's plan to make our neighborhood a dumping ground for the city's unhoused and mentally ill, while other neighborhoods avoid the fair share. East Flatbush is predominantly Black, Brown, and Jewish neighborhood that is represented by New York State Brian Cunningham, Myri Zelnor, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, City Council Rita Joseph, Darlene Mealy, all who have refused to show solidarity with the community in opposing the current version of Vita Brooklyn project. A fair share analysis that is completed after a Department of Homeless Service contract is signed is just unfair. It's unfair, people. At a recent Brooklyn Community Board 14 meeting, Councilwoman Rita Joseph called on Mamdani administration to pause the new proposed red roof shelter on Flatbush Avenue because it oversaturates a black and brown neighborhood with homeless beds. We call upon New York City Council member Rita Joseph to call for a New York City probe and moratorium on all homeless shelters construction until New York City Department of Homeless holds a public hearing at the appropriate community board, which would be CB9 and CB17, and reveal the fair share analysis that it uses to place shelters 60 days before, not after, any city contract is awarded. We also call upon U.S. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, the chair of the Black Congressional Caucus, to call for a congressional investigation on whether fair housing laws are being violated through the use of federal funds like pass-through community development grants, black grants from HUD. My last sentence is, which are used to segregate the unhoused population in black and brown community census tract areas. Listen, I know some people here are for shelters and building houses. But soon we're not going to see the sky, people. There's going to be so many buildings, and it's going to be empty because a whole bunch of people are going to move out of New York, and everything's going to be empty. If they think this is going to make it thrive, they're wrong. We asking for our elected officials to at least support us. We're not saying Vita Brooklyn should not be built. We're saying it should be built, but just talk to the community like they did Creedmoor. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Bernard. All right, that concludes our public commentary session. Especially for the new members, and to the public, I want to make sure that it's understood. This is a very important session of the meeting because it allows us to hear directly from the public in terms of what matters are of interest, so that way we know where we can focus our energies as a board. So some matters are already being considered, but this is also where we understand where our blind spots are, or if there are new matters that we should be addressing. For those members of the community, I thank you for coming out and letting us know. I do invite you to also make sure you utilize the other resources, which is one, coming directly to our committee meetings, because unfortunately we're not always able to address the matters in the limited time we have here. We have fuller opportunity to discuss them in the committees. And again, I just want to put a plug in for the district office, because sometimes these are service issues or there are issues that they can actually look into as complaints, where they can get you faster resolution in terms of they can directly interface with agencies or other parties as well to get a resolution to any issues in the district. Okay, but again, thank you everyone for participating in the public commentary. At this time, we are now going to go into acknowledgements. At this time, we have, are there any other elected officials or representatives who are here with us this evening who haven't signed? Oh, no, we got you. I'm just asking if anybody else. All right, seeing none, at this time, we'll invite up a representative from the Honorable Antonio Reynoso's office.
Good evening, everybody. So to talk like this, right? So congratulations to the community board appointees. Acknowledging the chair. Thank you for having me today. 2026 graduation award nominations are now open and they will close on June the 1st. ULURP public hearings are being held every second Wednesday of the month in person at Borough Hall, 209 Geralman Street, or you can go to WebEx. Residents are encouraged to contact our office if you need help with your SNAP benefits. Although we can't make decisions, we can help you. We can help guide you through the process and or figure out who you need to contact to get the help you need if you're in jeopardy of losing your SNAP benefits. We encourage you to go to our website, which is brooklynbp.nyc.gov. And that's it for me today. Thank you so much for having Katrina. Did I not say that? I'm sorry. Katrina from the Office of Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso.
Thank you as always.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, and with that, that concludes the public session. We are now going to go into the business session. At this time, I would ask the secretary to please call the roll. For all members, please make sure you listen for your name and answer that you are in attendance.
Good night. Good night. Abdul Mahabir. Brian, all the way. Brian, all the way. Nicholas Almadar. Fred Baptiste.
Yana Basora Gomez. Yana Basora Gomez. David Becker Turk. Sola Benjamin. Kat Botticello. Joanna Carr. Suki Chow. Kendall Christensen. Eve Cohen. Dina Cox. So Carey. Max Davison. Lisa Etienne. And then Feeder. That's what you pronounce it. And then Feeder. Madame Goboys. Bishop Hamilton Gonzalez. Shana Hartley. Tim Hunter. Drew Johnson. Khalid Joseph. Kalia Joseph. Renisha Labari. Mina Lagote. Francisco Leopold. Christian LeBeau. Jacqueline Love. Andrew Magnus. Lettre Mavina. Marcia Maxwell. Vanna Mears. Rohamino. Lati Mushin. Ethan Norville. Isaiah Pickle. Vanessa Rapalosas. Felice Robertson. Benny Rosenberger. Maureen Segal. How do you pronounce it? Oh, Morning Segal. Melissa Severe. Joshua Thomas Serrano. Abigail King. Debbie Timothy. Roberto Velez. Linda Watson Lurgus. Me. Dawn Welkers. Teresa Westerdahl. Joyce Williams. Lorianne Woolsey. Give me a minute.
All right. Are there any members of the board who did not hear their name called for the roll? Okay, we're going to give the secretary a moment to tally to confirm quorum. At this time, I would ask you, if you haven't done so, please look through the minutes for the April meeting. And if there are any corrections, please be prepared to let us know what corrections are required.
Chair, we have 31 members present. That's a quorum for our meeting.
Secretary has reported 31 members. We have a quorum. All right, at this time, we're going to go on to the next item, which is the approval of the April 26th General Board meeting minutes. The minutes have been included as part of the package. And again, I apologize. I know that we're in a very tight time frame between back-to-back meetings because of the pushed-up schedule. At this time, are there any corrections to be made to the April minutes? Okay, I call for a second time. Are there any corrections to be made to the April minutes? Yes, Ms. Butcher.
I wanted to change my vote, and I was told I couldn't change my vote, so am I just allowed to say that, to make an addition or addendum to the minutes, that I wanted to change my vote?
No, the floor is closed on the vote.
Done.
Okay. Yes.
Why doesn't it say by the third application how many were yes, how many were against, how many abstentions? We had it on A, then B said it was the favorable, only one against and no abstentions. And Fugu doesn't say anything, just says the majority, does not say the count of the vote.
Okay, Madam
The vote for that, because it was a by common consent, we didn't call names and nobody at all said.
Fugu was not common consent. The entire committee voted no, so it couldn't have been common consent.
Third vote? Is that, which vote is that? That's the last one?
Number 3, the third application, Fugu State, which is what Zlati got up to speak about. The entire committee that was here voted no. There were others that voted no. It just says over there, final vote was majority vote in favor of the application. All the others clarify what was the vote, how many for, how many against, how many abstained. We don't have that information here.
Okay. Do you have the rule? All right, we call the vote. Did we note abstentions and? No, we have to recall that. Because usually we'll note the abstentions and the noes.
I would also like to note that with the exception of Zlati, who wanted to change her vote, the entire safety committee voted no for this application.
No, the vote was taken, yeah. There was a vote. And practices usually will ask for who's abstaining for the record and who is no for the record.
Yeah, yes, exactly what it says by A. It says the vote for this application was 23 for yes, 9 against, 2 abstentions.
Okay, but what was the votes? Each state, okay. 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 We will need to confirm. Okay, so listen, we'll need to review the record and confirm the vote. The recollection is the motion did pass. There was that, but we will have to confirm and get the records in terms of what the voting record was.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of people talking. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The voting record is correct in terms of a majority, it passed by a majority vote. The actual voting record we'll need to confirm, so that will make sure is added to the next month's minutes.
Okay, and at the same time, can you also add that the safety committee voted no? The members?
That wouldn't be required. We'll record the votes. So it'll be addressed at the...
Okay, but please to add exactly what the amount was, and then and then where would I find that when it's recorded? Where would I be able
The secretary will make sure that's included as part of the next month's report.
For the
so
next
we'll make
one.
it correct.
Okay.
We'll make sure it's for the
Right.
record. All right. So we're going to do this. We're going to make the review. We'll get the exact count of which board, what the exact board votes were. That'll be reflected. But the vote actually does stand. So with that being said, is there any objection to adopting the minutes? We can make the corrections with the addition of the votes, the vote totals. Okay. So in other words, is there an objection to adopting the minutes? We can make the correction for the vote totals next month. Okay. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so is there any objection to adoption of the minutes by common consent? Hearing none. The minutes are adopted by common consent. Madam Secretary, we'll look at the record just so we can confirm the vote counts, the vote of the members later on. Okay, at this time we're now going to go to committee reports. The committee reports have been submitted for those committees that met this month. Let me ask you this time, are there any committee chairs who have any urgent items that they wish to, or announcements they need to make at this time? But they need to be very brief. Yeah.
So I'm not chair because you are chair of public safety, and I was absent for the last committee meeting. Did we make quorum? Because I don't see any notes here.
We did not have quorum.
All right, thank you. That's all we needed.
All right, but there will be some committee notes, some notes. I do have some notes that we will make, but they're not official because there are no official actions for the meeting. Okay, all right. All right, seeing none. At this time, I would like to call the chair of the nominations committee to come forward and please present the report. And just for awareness as well, especially for the new members. You're coming in at an interesting time. This is the election season for Brooklyn Committee Board 9. The way the process works is we start with impaneling a nominations committee, which we did in the April meeting. Those members of the committee are tasked with doing outreach to the board to identify those members who wish to run for office or positions. There are 7 positions: chair, first and second vice chair, executive secretary, treasurer, and 2 members at large. So the first canvas went out to the board by email, and I'm sorry if I'm going through some of your items as well. First canvas goes by email, and then there's additional phone calls that go out. Tonight, the committee is going to report on who wishes to run for which positions, and members of the board who are eligible will be able to nominate themselves at this time as well. Just as a note, for new members, okay, we need to make sure we're in order, please, okay? I would just like to make the note for new members. I know you're excited, you want to be an officer, but the requirement is you have to have at least 1 year of service. So not this year, but next year we're looking for you to run for a position. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to the chair. Sorry? Yeah. Yep, that's fine. So the report, and then we're going to open the floor for nominations. Okay? At this time, we're going to hear from the nominations committee chair, Debbie Timothy.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Debbie Timothy, and I was nominated as the chair for, I'm sorry. Oh, can you hear me now? Okay, good evening. My name is Debbie Timothy, and I am the chair for the nomination committee for the upcoming officers election for CB9. And I also have one of our committee.
Hi, Teresa Westerdahl, member of the committee with Debbie.
Francisca Leopold is not here tonight. I'm sorry, Francis, can you hear me now? Francisca Leopold is not here tonight. Catherine Barcelo and Solange Benjamin. So those are the other. I'm sorry. Solange is here? Come up. Yeah, come up. Absolutely. Come up.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Solange Benjamin, part of the nomination committee.
So we held a meeting on May 13th, the nomination committee, along with the chair of CB9, to discuss the procedures for the upcoming election. And there were 3 people present for the meeting. So I was selected as the chair for the committee. I'm happy to do that. Thank you. And so as I said, we went over the procedures for the election. The offices to be filled are chairperson, second vice chairperson, first vice chairperson, second vice chairperson, executive secretary, treasurer, and 2 members at large. We were provided with a listing of all the members, broken up by 10 per list, which was distributed amongst the committee members to canvass. So everyone made phone calls, and those who responded, we noted that. Those who did not respond, we noted that. The CB9 office was also instructed to send out an email blast to all members. You should have received that in your email, informing you that there was a deadline in terms of, stating whether you wanted to run for one of the officers' positions. So based on, I'm sorry, you have a question?
She said she didn't get a phone call, but the 10 people that I had, I called, and I'm sure that everyone else on the committee did the same thing. I'm sorry, what is your name? So Eve Shelby Cohen, I called your phone twice. You were on my list, and I left a message based on my notes. The number that we were provided with. I can't tell you what that is now. I don't have that information readily available. But whatever it was, I called it. Okay, based on my notes here. Thank you. So I'm going to, tell you who, responded to the email or the phone call to let us know whether they were interested in running for offices, for an officer position. Kendall Christensen was interested in doing second vice chair. Linda Watson Lord, second vice chair. Some people are still undecided, however, we can do that on the floor. Joyce Williams, chair. Catherine Busello, member at large. Zlati Muchkin, board chair. Ethan Norville, board chair. Felice Robertson, second vice chair. So, also, I'm sorry, I was just informed that Mr. Almanor wanted to be member at large. Okay, so I'm sorry, this is your question? Okay, sure. So, okay, good. All right, so Kendall Christensen, second vice chair. Linda Watson Lord, second vice chair. Catherine Busello, member at large. Joyce Williams, chair. Nicholas Almona, member at large. Zlati Muchkin, chair. Ethan Norville, chair. And Felice Robertson, second vice chair. Ethan, I didn't see. Yeah. So she can do it on the floor. So should we proceed with the? Okay, so now we're going to proceed with, floor nominations.
Madam Chair, if I could for a quick second.
Yeah.
All right, so listen, just so that we're clear, per the process, the canvass is the first part. So these candidates have announced that they wish to run for these positions. The floor will be open for each position. If you are a member of the board who has more than 1 year of service, or if you wish to nominate someone at this time, you can do so when they open the floor for the position, okay? We're going to be going from chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, through the roster. And when we close the floor, that is it. We're closing the floor on those names, all right? Once we have closed the floor on the entire slate, those are the names that are going to be on the ballot for next month. And we'll give additional clarification. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, go ahead.
Thank you. So we just found out from the district office manager that Isaiah Pico is first vice chair, requested to be first vice chair. So now we are going to make announcement for, open the floor rather for chair of the board. Are there any further nominations for chair of CB9? Are there any other nominations for chair of CB9? Are there any other nominations for chair of CB9? Nominations are now closed. Thank you. We're going to move to first vice chairperson. Are there any other nominations for first vice chair of CB9? Can we have your name, please? First vice chair. Proceed. Abdul Mutabir. Thank you. Are there any other nominations for first vice chair? Are there any other nominations for first vice chair for CB9? Thank you. Nominations are now closed for first vice chair for CB9. We will now open up the floor for a second vice chairperson, CB9. Are there any other nominations for second vice chair? Are there any other nominations for second vice chair? Okay, Miss, you're going to remove,
All right, just for the record, Ms. Watson Lord has declined the nomination for second vice chair.
Ms. Lord was just removed as second vice chair. Thank you. Are there any further nominations for second vice chair of CB9?
Could I nominate Abigail Tim?
I'm sorry?
Could I nominate Abigail Tim?
Ms. Lord is nominating Abigail Tim. Is Abigail here? Second vice chair of CB9. Is that an acceptance, Ms. Tim? Okay.
And I have my hand raised also over here. Yeah, my hand
I'm
is
sorry,
raised.
we have another nomination for second
Yep,
vice chair?
Dawn Welters.
Dawn Welters. Are there any other nominations for second vice chair for CB9? Nomination for second vice chair is now closed. We're going to move on to executive secretary, CB9. Are there any nominations for executive secretary of CB9? Linda Watson Lord is nominating. Are there any further nominations for executive secretary for CB9? Are there any other nominations for executive secretary for CB9? Nominations for executive secretary for CB9 is now closed. We are going to go to treasurer. Are there any nominations for treasurer for CB9? Are there any nominations for treasurer for CB9? Are you nominating yourself? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Christian Lobo, is he here? We can't have that. He has to be here. Are there any further nominations for treasurer for CB9? Can I get your name? Joshua Thompson? Joshua Johnson nominate himself. Thank you. Are there any further nominations for treasurer for CB9? Nominations for treasurer is now closed. We will now move on to member at large, and those are two open positions for member at large at CB9. Are there any nominations for member at large for CB9? Are there any nominations for member at large of CB9? Are there any, I'm sorry, what is your name? I'm sorry? Linda Green is nominating herself for member at large. For member at large. Solange is also nominating herself for member at large. Are there any further nominations for member at large for CB9? Are there any other nominations for member at large for CB9? See none. Member at large, we're closing the floor. And that concludes our nominations process for offices on the floor. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could ask if you just repeat the slate for each of the positions.
Okay, we can do that. So, I can
People running for chair appear to be Joyce Williams, Ethan Norville, and Zlati Munchkin.
Ethan Norville.
I don't think so. All right, so who's here? Zlati is. Ethan Norville is running for chair. Ethan, are you here? Zlate Muchin is running for chair. Please stand up. For acknowledgement. And Joyce Williams is running for chair. Please stand up for acknowledgement. Thank you. Thank you for running, everyone. Yeah, I said that. So, okay, so first vice chair, we've got Kashid Abdul Matka Efbar. Sorry for the pronunciation. Okay, other vice chair, first vice chair, you see? Okay, we've got Isaiah Paku for first vice chair. Thank you for running. Okay, so now second vice chair, we have Abigail Tim. We have Dawn Welters for second vice chair. And Felice Robertson, Felice Robertson, second vice chair, running. And I believe that's it for second. Kendall Christensen, are you here? He applied through the board, I guess. Okay, so now we've got treasurer. Treasurer, we have Joshua Serrano. I think that's it for treasurer. Anybody running? That's it. Mina is not on this list. Are you running or not? Oh, Mina nominated Christian LeBeau, but I guess he's not here, so we can accept. Mina wants to run for treasurer. Okay, so 2 treasurers, Mina Lagote, sorry, and Joshua Serrano. Okay, so then we've got member at large. Between, are you here? Between Mavima. Thank you for the clarity. And then we have Solange Benjamin, member at large, and we have Nicholas Almana running. So that's member at large. Oh, Catherine Bichello is running as well. Okay, so that concludes the nominations. Please give any corrections that you have at this time. Good luck, everyone. Thank you for running. We love to have as many people running as possible.
All right, thanks to all the candidates who are running. I want to say thank you to the nomination committee as well. In terms of next steps, so the slate is now made, so these are the names that will appear on the ballots. Additionally, there will be one line. You can write in a candidate if you wish. The rules for the elections are going to be posted as well. In terms of, you need to make sure your ballots are clear in terms of who you are looking for, who you are voting for. If they are not clear, if there's a question, the vote is invalidated for that vote. All right. Additionally, at the June meeting, candidates will be allowed to give a short speech in terms of their qualifications and why they're seeking to become an officer. Additionally, past tradition has been that we have requested candidates to submit either a brief bio or your intentions in terms of how you intend to serve, what you would like to accomplish as an officer on the board. And definitely, I understand for the newer members, it's a little tougher because you're coming right in, so you haven't had an opportunity to see that. Unfortunately, that is the way the process sets out, but we're going to try and get as much information before you so that hopefully you can make an informed vote in terms of who you feel will be, the appropriate leaders. I'm sorry? We are going to look to see what the agenda says, and we'll make decisions. The exec will make the decision at that time. Okay? All right. So yes. So for all those who are candidates, please make sure you start writing bios. They don't need to be full resumes. You don't have to give personal information, but just to give a sense of who you are as a person, how you interact in the community, and what you're looking to do on the board. Yes, I do see a question. You have to be present to vote.
Is it possible to vote early or in absentia?
You cannot. You have to be present at the meeting. June, it's we'll announce it during the meetings, during the reports, the DM report of mine. Okay. Okay. All right then. So again, thank you very much. All right, everyone. So listen, we're going to try and move quickly. We have a couple of. All right. One moment. We do have a quick notation from the executive secretary.
I just want to correct the question by. I just want to correct the question on the vote for the last SLA. I found my slide out. The results were 23 for, 2 abstentions, and 9 noes. So you're correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we are now going to go to the, it will be added, it will be added. Okay? All right, at this time, we're going to go to the district manager's report.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just a couple public notices that have come to the board office. The MTA is holding interactive workshops to build on their already ongoing outreach for the IBX. There are a couple of sessions coming up. The next one is going to be on May 30th, 10 a.m. at East New York Arts and Civic High School, 800 Van Sicklen Ave. If there are any more that are closer to our district, we'll let you know, but at least for now, that's the closest one close to the district in Brooklyn. Next up, the MTA. So no more coins. At a later date, which has not been given to us yet, buses will no longer accept coins as payment. Yeah, I know. Yes, very serious. The exact date will be shared ahead of time. Instead, customers can tap to ride to use their Omni. With the Omni network, if there are locations like CVS, Walgreens, other local stores that you all feel would be good for the network, for people who go regularly and they can get their cards refilled, you can nominate those locations. So feel free to reach out to the board office and we can get you that link. And there's no cost for any store to participate. DOT plans to reduce speed limits in selected areas in our district. Following the enactment of Sammy's Law of 2024, DOT has the authority to reduce speed limits below 20 miles per hour on individual streets. Speed reduction in our district will happen on the streets as follows. Eastern Parkway between Troy and Schenectady Avenues. Union Street between Bedford and Rogers Avenues. New school slow zones will be installed. Kingston Avenue between Winthrop Street and Rutland Road, and then Rutland Road between Brooklyn and Albany Avenues. A question at the exec was asked last night, will those be in effect 24 hours? I am reaching out to DOT to get an answer to that, and we'll report back. A couple of public hearings that are coming up. The New York City Rent Guidelines Board is proposing rent guidelines for leases October 1st, 2026 through September 30th of next year. A meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, the 21st at 9 a.m. at Specter Hall, 22 Reed Street in Manhattan. The public is invited to attend and observe. If you have comments right now, you can email ask@rgb.nyc.gov. Again, ask@rgb.nyc.gov with your comments. At a later date, June 11th, there will also be another Rent Guidelines Board meeting that'll be taking place at City Tech at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., 285 J Street. The proposals right now are for 1-year lease, 0 to 2% increase, and for 2-year leases, 0 to 4% increases. Deadline to submit comments is June 16th. A little bit on the administrative side, we do have our annual community fair coming up June 6th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at St. Francis School for the Deaf. June 6th, yes. June 6th, yes, at the School for the Deaf. We have a lot of vendors already signed up, so please participate, come out, bring your families, meet and greet with agencies and other community-based organizations. Also in partnership with Assemblymember Ferris of Front Forest's office, Councilmember Hudson, DSNY, and the LES Ecology Center, we're going to be holding a community recycling event on July 7th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at also, again, St. Francis de Sales, the School for the Deaf. So we'll blast these out in our e-blast. If there are any business owners, if you know of any small business owners, SBS has a World Cup business toolkit, an opportunity to showcase your business during the World Cup. If you're interested in that information, reach out to the board office. We can get that for you. To the new members, a lot of emails are going to be coming through from the board office. Some emails will come directly from Borough Hall. your orientation, your swearing in, that's going to come directly from Borough Hall. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to Carol Ann, who's the Director of Community Boards for the Borough President. And with that, that's my report.
All right, we will take questions on the district manager's report. Members of the board only. Who has a question? We'll take a speaker's list. Ms. Siegel, I see you. Hold on. Go ahead. Okay, when we get to that part. Any other questions? I'm sorry. I see you as well. Any other member? Ms. Benjamin, I see you. Any other members of the board have questions regarding the district manager's report? Benny, are you holding your hands up? Or? No, not yet, not yet. No, we're good. For now. As long as we don't drag anything out, we're good. All right, we're going to close on Ms. Benjamin then. Okay, Ms. Siegel.
For the proposed vendors for the OmniCard, what benefit is it to those stores that we nominate? Like, are they going to make some money off of it, or is it just like goodwill?
Actually, Ms. Boyd asked that at exec last night. I've reached out to the MTA, so I'm waiting for that response. So what I'll do is I will email the board members with the information so you all know that. But that question has been asked, so I'm trying to find it out. It's a good question.
Ms. Benjamin.
We will let the community know. We put in our e-blast, but make sure y'all read it.
Ms. Benjamin, you have the floor.
Just a quick question with the changing of the speeding limits. Are those going to be attached to cameras, right? And is there, like, have we seen like a disproportionate like impact in certain neighborhoods with, because it's like speed traps. So, you know, those are speed traps.
So the notification didn't mention any cameras.
Okay.
And also I think Fred asked the question last night, how did they select these areas? They did not provide the criteria. So that's one of the questions that I'm asking to DOT. What was the criteria for that?
Okay, so that's, we close the floor on that. Thank you very much for the report. Okay. All right, at this time, we are going to go to item 5, Treasurer's Report.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me. The current modified budget total is $421,418. Of that amount, we have $20,729.20 encumbered. The actual expenditure so far is $342,986.37. And uncommitted, we have $57,702.43. The fiscal year ends June 30th. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, the report is for informational purposes. There are no action items. Are there any questions to the treasurer or the district manager regarding the report? Okay, hearing none. We are now going to move to item. We're going to move to item 6, the chairman's report. Okay, just a few items I want to touch on, and then I wanted to go on to one voting item that is going to be before the board for this season. So, first, again, welcome to the new members. I'm glad that you have chosen this mode of service to the community in addition to everything you've done already. So there are going to be a lot of opportunities for training. There are going to be trainings that are going to happen from the borough president's office. Additionally, we try and do training here on the board level for activities that are more specific to CV9. So please look out for those. Just also to give you a heads up. So what's going to happen is you are required as part of your membership to participate on at least one committee. So because you're coming in so late, there is no assignment that is going to happen right now. I would just ask that you look at the schedule for upcoming committee meetings for June. If you can attend any meeting you wish, if there's anything you would look, that interests you. In the summer months, there's going to be a canvas that's going to happen where you're going to be requested to provide what your choices are for committee assignments. Typically, it'll happen. You'll get 3 choices. The chair of the board will review all the applications and see where we need people, and they'll make those appointments there. After that, committee chairs also have the ability to make appointments as well, but just to give you that. And as I say that, for members of the community as well, we do take resident members for the committees as well. So that will usually launch around the same time frame. So if you're a member of the public, if you would like to participate in a more formal way with Community Board 9, resident committee members are a perfect opportunity. And you can, one, make that contribution and see if there's an additional contribution or you would like to make a stronger commitment and apply for the board next year. Also along those lines, I also wanted to make sure that everyone knows for June, we are going to have some changes. There's going to be a change in the general board meeting. We normally meet on the 4th Tuesdays of the month to set the expectation. That changes in the beginning of the year where because of the holiday observances, we usually have dates that move for committee meetings and for the board. Otherwise, typically we meet on the 4th Tuesday. Because of primary day, this is one of those Tuesdays that is going to be another conflict. So please be aware we are meeting on June 23rd. June 18th, I'm sorry. I gave you bum scoop. June 18th. So it is going to be an early meeting, okay? So I need everyone to understand that. And as that's moving, please keep an eye on all of your committees to make sure you check to see what dates they're meeting. As these are the last meetings of the year, I ask that you please make all efforts to go, so that way you can close out any items and also do advanced planning for next year as well in terms of what the agenda should be, what the priorities are going to be, so that way we can hit the ground running when we start the committees up next year as well. Very quickly, I also wanted to mention with regards to Downstate. Downstate was a big conversation last year for the board. It's not in CB9, but we are part of the catchment. So last year, there was over $1 billion that were committed to the rehabilitation of Downstate. We've been reaching out to Downstate and University and the SUNY and all other officials as well to find out what is the status of that. When they made the $1 billion investment, we said it has to be a down payment because there were significant issues with Downstate. So we need to make sure that there's a full rehabilitation so that way it becomes a trusted partner in the healthcare network. So the district manager and I have been reaching out consistently because we feel that is an answer that is owed to this board, that is owed to the residents of this district, and they need to be accountable. We think that it was a travesty that it fell to the position it was, and that's because they were not held accountable. And we need to make sure that we do not repeat that and make sure that they are coming to us and letting us know what is the plan to make sure we can support and we can guide the direction where Downstate needs to go. Again, so that way it's a trusted health partner in our network in the district. We are looking at also opportunities in terms of, we're finding that there's a lot of information that members have asked for already in terms of what are the statistics for the district? How many shelters do we have? What kinds of resources do we have? What is the population? What is the population mix? How many housing units we have? A lot of that is data that is captured through various databases in the city. One of the things I was able to attend at Borough Hall for the Borough Board meeting is a vendor called Data2Go, where they actually aggregate a lot of this data from city sources, state sources, and federal sources. You can't hear? Data2Go is the name of the organization. So we are looking at engaging them in terms of being able to do training for the board, so that way we know how to find the data that will help us in terms of crafting proposals and policy in the interest of the district. For us to do this, it's important for us to know what the data is, where we currently stand, so that way we can make the appropriate recommendations. Additionally, I do want to say I believe I saw an email come from the Civic Engagement Commission, which is also offering classes with regards to open data, open records, which again are tools that will help us in terms of making smart decisions, being able to have the answers in terms of where we stand and what we still need as a district. Lastly, I want to go back to something that's been touched on several times at this meeting with regards to the Empire Shelter. So I want to thank the district office for convening the town hall. And I think it was important. We had phenomenal attendance from residents, from members of the board, from community organizations. We had elected officials here, and we had Project Renewal and Department of Social Services here as well. I think it was important that they gave us some answers to our questions, but we also found that there were a lot more questions that needed answers. So to that respect, and just to give the background as well, we had received the original notification, or it was dated from April 17th. From when we became aware, one of the things I did want to do was create a statement on behalf of CB9 in terms of where we stood. But as I said, there were a lot of questions that we didn't have the answers for, that I didn't have the answers for. So I felt it was premature for me to come out with a statement on behalf of CB9 before we had the information. As we had the opportunity to have the town hall and get some additional information and kind of understand better the situation, what we've done is we crafted a resolution, draft for a resolution for CB9 to adopt. It's been handed out to the members this evening. I'm going to try very quickly to go through this so that way the members of the public, because I know you haven't had an opportunity because this is very, very recent, but we're going to go through it and we'll ask questions and we'll entertain a motion to adopt so we can get this out. So the motion proposed is for a resolution on the proposed siting of a temporary shelter at 169 Empire Boulevard. Whereas, per section 2800, subsection D, subsection 2 of the New York City Charter, one of the functions of community boards is to cooperate with, consult, assist, and advise any public officer, agency, local administrators of agencies, legislative bodies, or the borough president with respect to any matter relating to the welfare of the district and its residents. And whereas Brooklyn CB9 received a communication from DSS dated April 17th, notifying the board regarding the use of a commercial hotel in the district to be used to provide housing for individuals experiencing homelessness. And whereas the proposed location is the Ramada by Wyndham Brooklyn Empire Boulevard, located at 169 Empire Boulevard, which is within the confines of the community district. And whereas Project Renewal will serve as the nonprofit service provider for the temporary shelter for 140 single adult men, and the tentative contract commencement is scheduled for summer 2026. And whereas CB9 recognizes the crisis of homelessness and housing affordability and the need to ensure that those experiencing homelessness are provided with the resources to stabilize their situations and create pathways to sustainability. And whereas on May 12, 2026, CB9 convened a community town hall at MS 61 on 400 Empire Boulevard with participation from DSS, Project Renewal, elected officials, and community residents and organizations. And whereas at the town hall, the public was advised that the fair share assessment for the project had not yet been completed as of that date. And whereas additional concerns were noted, including questions over the contract terms for the proposed siting, the proximity to other facilities in the area, the potential for oversaturation in this district, and the equitable distribution of facilities in other community districts in the borough and citywide. And whereas the CB9 district office has received previous complaints from residents of the community district regarding trespassing, public urination, and other quality of life concerns. And whereas there has been no coordinated meeting of stakeholders, agencies, and residents to discuss issues prior to the proposed opening. And whereas there is current and potential litigation regarding the closures of the Manhattan facilities, which may affect the timing/need for the opening of the proposed site. Therefore, it is resolved. The Brooklyn Community Board 9 recommends to the New York City Department of Social Services, the Mayor's Office, and the City Council to postpone the proposed opening of the temporary shelter to allow for sufficient stakeholder engagement to ensure that the siting is appropriate and that any adverse impacts to the community are fully addressed and minimized. It is resolved the appropriate agencies complete and make public the fair share analyses for the site, the district, and the borough to ensure the equitable distribution of facilities in Brooklyn and citywide. And it is also resolved that DSS make public the contract information and terms as requested at the town hall. So that concludes the report. This is the one action item that we have for the board. And we will discuss this on the floor. We'll put on the floor and discuss for a vote. At this time, I will take questions regarding my report. We'll create a speakers list. Suki, I see you. Hold on. Ms. Etienne, I see you as well. Ms. Hartley, I see you as well. All right, we're only taking members of the board at this time. Oh, sorry. Tom Serrano. Ms. Carr. With the glasses on, I can't see. Hold on. Ms. Carr, I have you on the list as well. All right, so I have Chung, Etienne, Hartley, Thomas Serrano, Carr, Ms. Westerdahl, I see you as well. If it's to make changes, we'll make changes when we get to the voting session when we open the floor. Okay, I do see Madam Treasurer. Are there any other questions? All right, we're going to close the floor on minor. All right, at this time, Suki, you have the floor.
This is a very quick question about the downstate revitalization. One of the things that was promised to the community when some of SUNY Downstate's property in our district was redeveloped is that they would open their swimming pool to the public. I don't know if you've heard anything about that during the discussions over the $1 billion renovation, or if it's something you can bring up to them.
I think the issue is we haven't heard anything. It's been radio silence for way too long, so that's part of what we'll do. But that is a question in terms of what facilities will be made available to the public. But of course, I think part of the issue is that the facilities are so bad, there's a major investment that needs to be made, and we want to track that commitment. So thank you. Ms. Etienne.
Thank you. I'm going back to the Empire Shelter resolution. One, I wanted to thank you for putting this together because I think it's important that we do say something in terms of the lack of transparency and the bulliness, I don't know if that's a word, of DHS and NYC on this neighborhood. I think the resolution does capture a lot of the sentiments that were said at the town hall and in the Health and Social Services Committee. I would suggest that we add a line that going forward, that NYC, DHS, DSS must notify the community board because they did not, in a reasonable amount of time, even if it's an emergency. They should have their ducks in a row, even in an emergency, to come to us. Because on the dais, they didn't have a lot of answers for us. They had a lot of, we don't know, we weren't sure, we'll get back to you. And they, I don't know how much time I have, but they come to a lot of these types of meetings. They should have been better prepared. So I'm hoping that if we put something in there that says that we demand that you do this before coming to us and come to us early, fully prepared to talk to us going forward.
No, I appreciate the comments. When we put it on the floor, we can make the amendment. If you could think of language, specific language you'd like, while we're going through the questions, it would be helpful so we can make the amendment when we get amendment. We can make the amendment. But thank you. Joshua.
So yeah, I'm going to go in a bit of a different direction on this. I'm not in favor of this resolution because I think it's based on some assumptions that we don't necessarily, we can't say, with evidence. One is that the folks that will be staying here, by virtue of being homeless and men are presenting some kind of, egregious public safety issue. I was at the town hall. I heard a lot of concern from community members about that. I also heard that the site would be staffed by 4 security guards at all times. I know the location is like a few blocks down from the police station, and folks won't be sort of being sent out onto the streets, during the day. They can stay in their rooms while they're there. But generally, I just don't think this assumption, that everyone that's going to stay there is automatically going to be a public safety concern is fair or even sort of right. It doesn't feel good to me. The second assumption, I think, is that this community is being oversaturated with shelters. I think we've heard a lot in all of the meetings that we had, both in land use, in these general, at least where I've been present, people raise those concerns. I have not seen data that is talking about this community having a higher number of homeless shelters or a higher ratio of homeless people than others. And so if we're making claims and assumptions like that, I do think we actually need to support that. And so I'm not comfortable with this, but you know, I think that an opposing perspective on this is important to hear. So I can go on forever. I saw I got waived for time, so I'll stop there.
That's good. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Carr this time. Ms. Carr. Go ahead, Ms. Carr. You have the floor.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, can you include under the resolutions where you put therefore is resolved? I noticed that you left out Department of Homeless Services. Can you make sure you include them as part of it?
All right,
The
so then go ahead.
recommendations to the Department of Homeless Services.
We can do it. I mean, I think the intent is to send this to every agency, so if you have a piece in this,
But you don't have
and I think there are a couple of others that also need to be included. I think NYPD was not as
Thank
well. With the idea being community stakeholders and
Don't want to
stakeholders need to be present.
exclude anybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Westerdahl.
Hi, I'm interested in the, we talk about the quality of life issues, trespassing, public urination, and other quality of life issues. I would like to see some data from 311 and NYPD regarding the complaints, and would like to emphasize to everyone here that making 311 and 911 calls adds to the data, and when they do an analysis, it's really important to have that. I would like to see one regarding this area, and because living in that direct area, there has definitely been an uptick in issues recently. So you can't say why, but the data I think is important, and the quality of life issues in particular, because some of them include breaking into cars, theft, robbery, stealing packages. All of these things are happening that are more concerning, and prostitution as well. That's happening now that wasn't previously. Okay, so data, please.
Absolutely. And I'll address a couple of those points when we actually go to the floor and we actually discuss the motion. Mina?
Good evening. I have a few comments, questions regarding the shelter. I wanted to know, who would we ask what, if anything, is stopping the shelter from becoming a micro shelter? Will we be informed if it becomes a micro shelter? Who changes these things? Who would we address? Who would we ask those questions to? Also, how many days are required to inform the community of changes at the shelter's provider? What if the provider decides they don't want to do this anymore? Does this business get sold to another entity, or what happens there? Also, if this is a temporary site, what period of time is considered temporary? Is it 1 year, 2 years? What is temporary? And will the community be advised if or when the temporary status is made permanent? Who do we ask these questions to? And the last two questions is, does the city have a plan to purchase the site to make it a permanent shelter? What happens after the 2 years? And as the population of CB9 grows, what other extra resources are going to be given to CB9 and the police and everyone else? Because yes, the precinct is down the block, but if they're not patrolling now, what resources are they going to be given to help them do their jobs better? So would we address that in this kind of document, or just, for me, the question is, what happens after temporary? When does temporary become permanent? I just wanted to state that out loud because we know what may or may not be temporary. Thank you.
Ms. Hartley, I apologize. If you get the microphone to Ms. Hartley. You have a question.
So my question, can everyone hear me? My question is there a timeline here? Because we were proposed that it would possibly be open summer, which is a season. Shout out to Ms. Carr, she said that at the town hall, right? And that could be any time between June, July, and August. So I was just making the recommendation that when we do send this proposal, if we are asking also, a timeline in regards to answering. That is a recommendation. In regards to board member Joshua, there is a lot of data out there. The actual controller created a report in 2023 in regards to the discrepancy. There's also articles from the, it's not about this district, but what it did show is in regards to the census of this district, which just happens to still be a higher percentage of Black residents within this. And so that is what is stated there. I can send it to you if you would like for me to send it to you. I can also do articles from the BK Reader and Gothamist. I just want to call out that this is not a component about not my backyard. What we are constantly stating is regard to equality in disbursement. And that is what we're talking about, but we also need to be privy that this neighborhood should not become an urban anthropology case study in 15 or 20 years, where we're all trying to understand the divestment or the third cycle of divestment. It happened in the 60s when it was redlining and white flight. It happened in the 80s with the crack era, and now this is a new form of divestment. So what people are truly stating is that there are certain tools that are taking place within specific communities that are creating financial violence, that are creating a new form of apartheid. And so that's the greater picture. And what they're utilizing is these tools of a for-profit system, because these people are paid a lot of money. Everybody that sat up here on that board is 200 plus in a neighborhood where our average of our salary is 1/4 of that. Okay, so that's something to be notable about. I'll send you the article information because the data is here. The data is here. If you don't look for the data, that's a whole different thing. Saying it doesn't exist isn't true. If you don't look for something, I don't have to cite. I can email it to you.
Okay. Listen. So, Ms. Hartley, so
I didn't know that you were going to speak on that, so that's why I couldn't cite you on it, because this is an open board.
Okay.
But if you do look up the controller's report, it will be there. So tomorrow morning, when you go to your job at 1 Center Street, you can look up the controller office information. I'm not going to do the work for you. I have a degree already, and I'm in private sector.
The question is to the chair, or the comment is to the chair. Thank you. Hold on. We're going to do this first. That is, we need to be very cognizant. We need to conduct this business. This is the last voting item. Well, we have this, and then we have to go into new business. We need to complete this relatively quickly. We have about 10 minutes or so to complete this. We will put this on the floor. We will have debate. Order of the day, we are in business at this time. Okay? So at this time, we are now going to order of the day. Order of the day. This is community business. If we do not complete it, we have failed. So in other words, if we stay in order, we will complete the business for the community. All right? Members will be recognized. You will have an opportunity to speak to the motion, which is what should happen. It's not a cross conversation. Comments are made directly to the chair. If there is a question, I will answer it. If I don't have the answer, if it's somebody else who has it, I will direct them to do it. But that's the only way we're going to maintain order. We can't have the crosstalk and all of a sudden want to debate each other. You make your point, you point out whatever facts you have, and we keep moving. All right? Members in the debate, we are going to be limited to 1 minute. Listen up. Questions, comments, limited to 1 minute. We will have one round. If we need to go another round, we can do that. If we go 2 rounds and we are not ready for the question, well, we'll figure that out at that point. But at this time, I will entertain a motion to put the resolution on the floor for consideration. I have it moved by Nicholas Almanor. Do I have a second? Seconded by Linda Watson-Moore. Okay, it's moved and seconded. As I wrote this, I wanted to clarify some of the points that were brought up. First of all, this is not, the intent of this is to say that we need to postpone putting this up because there's a lot of information we don't have. There is data we don't have, and we know that because when we asked the questions, we didn't get the data at the meeting. So the idea is to make sure that there is a full conversation where the board as a stakeholder, where the community as stakeholders can get the questions answered. When we're talking about the contract terms, how tax dollars are being spent, if there is information that needs to be corrected about the population, that is the opportunity to do it too. But to let it go unresolved and just say go ahead is a disservice to the district and the community. With regards to the fair share, that was also stated at the meeting that they didn't finish their fair share assessment, which is problematic right there as well. Notwithstanding the fact that they did say it's an emergency, and we understand emergencies, but some of that was also mitigated by the fact that they said that there's litigation that is causing some of this. So part of what we need to do is have the information at our disposal so that way we can make whatever decisions we need to make in the best interest of the district. It's hard for us to do that if we do not have the information. You'll have an opportunity to speak. We'll take a speaker test. We will take a speaker test. So again, this is a matter of the resolution is to say they need to postpone any action until the engagement happens. After the engagement happens, the board and the district is going to be in a better position to make recommendations. This is not to say that we say no. We may say no there and maybe no okay somewhere else, or they may need to change as the parameters of this. But we're not even in a position to even have that conversation because we haven't had any of the conversations because they only gave it to us on April 17th. All right. So at this time, we will create a speakers list on the motion, on the resolution. Those members who wish to speak on the resolution, please raise your hand and we'll create a speakers list. Mr. Tom Serrano, we have it. Other members? Yep. Abdul Mudakabir? Did I get it right? Close enough? Okay. All right. Working on it. Yes, Ms. Etienne, I see you. Other members? Any other members have questions, comments? Okay, we're going to close on those three names. I would ask all the speakers, remember, limit your questions, comments to 1 minute. We can do an additional round if required. And also remember, speak to the chair and direct your comments to the chair and stay germane to the topic. It's not about, I'm going to answer a question that happened 15 minutes ago. Are we clear, everyone? Sir, you have the floor.
Yes, 1 minute. Okay, so really quickly, I think I understand the language in the resolution asking for this, for more information and this fair share assessment, which, you know, wasn't completed before this came, and that's pretty embarrassing on that part. I guess the thinking that I'm sitting with is like, what if that fair share analysis comes back and says this community district is somewhere in the center, right? Not necessarily, you know, the most oversaturated, and definitely not like the least, I don't know, empty of homeless shelters, right? And, you know, if that's the analysis, then like, is the assumption that the room supports this now? No, of course not. Because all of those public safety concerns that are based on assumptions that people are making about individuals that they don't know, I think is really what's driving this and what carries the day. So that's why I raised that question. I think, yeah, I'll leave it there.
All right, this time, yes. Come here.
Yeah, hi, everybody.
Order of the day, order of the day. The member has the floor. He's been recognized.
Standing up to stretch out a little bit. So it seems to me like when I hear about the shelter, there's quite a lot of opposition to the shelter. What I don't know is why we don't just do a straight up or down for the community board, who wants it and who doesn't, and base it on that. It seems like people don't. And it seems like a lot of rules were broken to get this thing into motion, which is wrong. Okay, now, when I see this, it's just a lot of like verbal stuff on paper, and it seems to be kind of like a weak way of just saying, hey, let's just ask them to give us more information. It's sort of like we're going to them and saying, can we have an analysis on why water is wet? They want to do it, they want to put it up, we know that. So why as a community board do we have to keep taking this path of least resistance and not just saying we don't want it. Like, who are we afraid to offend? Who are we afraid to upset? We can't just say, no, we don't want it in our community. Instead of going back to them on bended knee saying, can you please do a fair share analysis? Can you please provide us with this, provide us with that? They don't want to do that. So the answer to us should be, we don't want the shelter, period.
Thank you. Ms. Etienne? Next round.
So I just wanted to reiterate the importance of adding that extra line that says that we demand that they, going forward, make sure they come to the community board and other stakeholders, even in an emergent situation with a full review, right? And that full review should include what other facilities did they check out? So that was something that was brought up during the town hall as well.
Language. What's the amendment you want to make?
It is also resolved that CB9 demands that NYC, DSS, and DHA, or whatever else they are, notify the community board within the appropriate time frame and with the full review as required by law, regardless of whether there's an emergency or not.
Okay. Rewording also demands notification regardless of emergency status.
Or not.
So demand notification.
Because I think if we don't add that, to say, oh, this is a one-off, then we can do it again, right?
On any proposed, okay, so on any proposed site.
Any proposed sites, yes.
Regardless of that, on any proposed site in the district. Okay. So we demand notification regardless of emergency status. Yes. Paraphrasing heavily, and let me know if I run off. Regardless of status of any proposed sightings in the district. Okay. We have that. Okay, so listen. So, Ms. Etienne, you're making that as a proposed amendment, right? Yes. Okay. Ms. Etienne is making it proposing an amendment to add that language. It is also resolved that we demand there's a notification for any proposed sightings in the district regardless of emergency status. Repeat? Okay. To include full review and fair share analysis. Okay, makes sense? All right. Does anybody second the amendment? This is to add that text. All right. I see Mr. Joseph. It's been moved and seconded. All right. Are there any questions regarding the amendment, adding that language? Okay. Hearing none. Can we add that language by common consent? Is there any objection? Is there? Okay. Hearing no objection, that is added to the resolution. All right. Thank you for that. All right. So now we are back to the list we had completed with Ms. Etienne. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak with regards to the resolution? Second round, 1 minute. Ms. Siegel, I see you. Anyone else wish to speak? I'm sorry, your last name again? Velez? Thank you. Member Velez. Any other members wish to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, we have Ms. Siegel, we're going to close on Mr. Velez. Go ahead.
With the city's decision to close the 2 intake/men's shelters in Manhattan, it does not seem that there was any plan on their part what they were going to do instead, at least what I've seen in news reports. I would like to add that, and I don't know how to do this because I'm brand new, that the city has to have a plan in place before they just shut things down. Because what happened is they shut things down, now they need to put an emergency order in place, and like our federal administration, executive orders just trump all, and the only way to stop it is with a lawsuit. So the question is, we can make this, resolution. Does the city have to listen to it? And then my second piece, is I know it's a zoning and a land use issue, but this proposed shelter is right by Ebbets Field. It's already incredibly dense there, right? Why are we adding more people who are at risk themselves, we know that our homeless population is at risk for all sorts of unhappy things, and we want to make sure they're supported. Ebbsfield, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody here, Ebbsfield has more than its fair share of crime. And so I want to make sure that density-wise, we're doing right by the folks who already live here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Just for correction, it's not a zoning issue because the hotel is there. It's zoned for that. It becomes a matter of, is it appropriate? Is it right for the district? What are they trying to do? Is it right? And is the process right either? So those are the questions that we're trying to address. And to that extent, I mean, I think we want to keep it narrow enough where we're addressing the specific issue, but absolutely we can address larger issues as well. Because there's a number of spin-off issues that come with this as well. Yes, go ahead.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
So I think some fantastic points are being made on both sides. Data is obviously an important factor in all of this. Data being an important factor in this. Comments being made about the lack of data. Comments also being made about data being available in certain spaces, whether or not we should go find it or not. Also valid points. We know that this is a resolution to essentially get them to come back with more information or waiting for it to come back. Is there going to be, and I'll say this first, there was also statements being made about the number of questions that were being raised post-town hall. Lots of questions were asked, but there were more questions that were raised and kind of like raised some curiosities. Is there going to be an opportunity to be able to submit for data requests as a part of the assessment that's being made and going to be returned to the council?
We will have opportunity for data requests, but I think the important thing that we're trying to address with the resolution is tell them stop. Stop, because nothing else, there's too many open questions that haven't been done. The emergency that they said is supposed to happen hasn't happened because they didn't close down the shelters, because there's a lawsuit with that. And they need to come back to us and give us the opportunity to ask the questions we need to ask and get the data we need to get to make a decision. And I just want to say something very quickly with respect to the reason why we didn't just say no to the shelter is because I think one of the points we put in the resolution is we understand people are homeless, and it's, I don't want us to ever be so cold-hearted that we say nobody deserves a place to stay. But there are conversations that need to happen before we do that. It could be we say no. It could be we say not this particular shelter. It could be if you got the answers, you said yes, but we're not even in a position to say that. But what is required by this board and this district is you need to give us the answer. We always deserve the answer before they make these decisions. And we deserve the engagement before they make decisions on behalf of the district. Okay? All right, listen, I apologize. Ms. Benjamin, I know you had your hand. Did you have a question? Very quickly. Okay. We have reached the second, that was the second round. We are closed. We are now going to call the question. That's what I said before. 2 rounds. We've done the second round. So at this time, we are going to vote on the matter. All right. Listen, roll call vote. Yes, if you are in favor of the motion as amended. No, if you are not, or you can abstain as your right as well. We need to do this very quickly. Please listen for your name. Proceed.
Ado Mahabir. Nicholas Almanar. Fred Baptiste. David Beckert. Sola Benjamin. Joanna Carr. Suki Chow. Eve Cohen. Lisa Etienne. Adine Fadir. Shauna Hartley. Drew Johnson. Mina Legote. Andrew Magnus. Letrima Vina. Marcia Maxwell. Rohan Minoy. Latis Mushin, Isaiah Pickle, Felice Robertson, Benny Rosenberger, Maureen Shiga, Melissa Severe, Joshua Thomas Serrano, Debbie Timothy, Roberto Vilas, Linda Watson Lord, yes. Dawn Walters, Teresa Westerdahl, Joyce Williams, Lorianne Woolsey. Hold on, before we get to come, I saw two people. Hold on, right. Hold on.
Are there any members of the board who did not hear their name called if you came in? Yes, sorry?
Yes.
Order of the day. Tina
Dina.
Cox? Okay, your
Dina?
vote is?
And
Please, no.
Abigail Tim. Okay.
All right. We're gonna tally the vote. Now listen, as we are getting the numbers, we're getting ready to adjourn. We are getting ready to adjourn momentarily. We have new business. We are going to get dismissed. I would ask exactly, and the business took is what it took. And as there, listen, the only thing we can do is we can make sure we add it as a voting item on the next month. We can do that. It's not going to take 2 minutes. It is not. Security is right there, and we need to vacate the premises. We have to break down. So we can put it on the agenda for next month, absolutely, and we should always give the board enough time to digest the question as well. All right, Madam Secretary, do you have the vote? Please announce the count.
The vote, 27 for, 5 against, and 1 abstain. There were 33 of us because 2 people joined.
27 for. How many against? 5 against, and how many abstentions? 1 abstention. I hear a majority vote. The board has voted in favor and has adopted the resolution as amended. Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we do need to adjourn as we are not able to entertain any other business. For those members who would like to put business forward, we'll be able to do it for next month. We have to go. We have to go. Right, there was no meeting because there was no agenda. Right, and what I'm saying is there was no meeting because there wasn't a quorum. There wasn't a quorum, and those notes will be added. Okay, we stand adjourned. The time, Madam Secretary, please note we are adjourned. Time is now 9:48 p.m. All members, please vacate the premises immediately. Do not